大家好，我是塔斯。今天我们会学习一些很重要的单词，工程师应该知道。好, so in this video, we're going to look at very important words that all engineers should know. The first word I want to talk about is CAD, or CAD, which means computer-aided design. Now, in industry, we don't usually just say CAD this, CAD that, but we talk about the CAD softwares a lot. Some examples of CAD softwares would be SolidWorks, Autodesk Inventor, Autodesk AutoCAD, or even Siemens NX. Now, some examples you might hear in an interview setting with these would be, for example, do you have any experience in AutoCAD or Inventor? Or another example might be, have you used SolidWorks in the past? In industry, however, you might hear something thrown around either on an email or in person where somebody would say, hey, can you send me that file in an AutoCAD format? The next word I want to talk about is 3D models, or also 3D modeling. So 3D models are just the thing you make inside the computer program like SolidWorks. So for example, this, before it was 3D printed, was a 3D model. This was a 3D model before I 3D printed it. So some examples you might hear in an interview setting with the word 3D modeling might be, for example, do you have any 3D modeling experience? What are some parts that you have made in 3D modeling softwares? Or in the workplace, again, you might hear, hey, can you export that 3D model in an AutoCAD format? So the next word is fabrication drawings. Fabrication drawings are just the drawings engineers make for the shop workers to fabricate or make our designs. So some examples in the workplace that you might hear of a fabrication drawing would be, hey, how are those fab drawings coming? And notice what I said here. I did not say, how are those fabrication drawings coming? I said, how are those fab drawings coming? F-A-B, fab. It's a shorthand for fabrication. Oftentimes you hear it like that. So another example might be, did you see those revisions I made on the fab drawing? So you might have heard the word that I used there, revisions, the revisions to the fab drawing. A revision is just a change that we make to a drawing. And some examples you might hear would be like, I made some revisions to the fab drawing, or, hey, can you revise this drawing? Now, a revision is just a change that we made to the drawing. A revised drawing is the new drawing that has all the changes that we had made before. So the next discipline is project engineer or project management. Now, a project manager usually is the one that works with the client after it has been bought, and they work with the client and work with the engineering team to make sure the client gets exactly what they want from our engineers at our company. So the first word I want to talk about in project engineer, project management is the project specification or project spec, or oftentimes we just say the spec. So the spec is basically this long drawn out documentation that describes exactly how the client wants their product or wants our product to be designed for them. So some examples you might hear in the workplace would include, hey, did you follow the spec? Another example might be, why did you design it like this? The spec said it was like this. And oftentimes the specifications are sorted in different sections. So you might hear something like, make sure you really pay good attention to the design requirements section of the spec. The next word I want to talk about is lead times. So lead times are basically just how long it's going to take before you can get the specific part that you're ordering. So like, for example, if you were ordering one of these, if you were ordering a gear from a gear vendor, you would ask them, what's your lead time on a gear, right? So they would tell you how long this gear is going to take to make and ship to you before you can have it in your hand. That is the lead time. So some examples in the workplace might be, what was the lead time on those pumps you ordered? Or another example might be, Can the lead time be reduced at all? And then another example might be, what are your lead times, right? What are your lead times? So the next word is vendor. A vendor is basically just the company that you purchase parts from to build your designs. So, for example, this pressure gauge right here, a design firm would purchase the pressure gauge for their design from a company that sells pressure gauges. That company that sells the pressure gauges is called a vendor. So some examples that you might hear in the workplace with the word vendor might be, did you reach out to the pump vendor yet? Or another example might be, did you get the lead time from that vendor? The final word I want to talk about in project management section is procurement. Now, procurement is basically the whole process of buying parts or buying the stuff you need to build your design. So an example in the workplace where you might hear the word procurement used would be, hey, can you reach out to the procurement team to see if they ordered the parts we need? So the final discipline I want to talk about is sales engineering, or technical sales, solutions engineering, anything that revolves around the pre-sales process in an engineering setting or a tech setting. So basically, any company that needs to sell engineered products or technical solutions usually have sales engineers. So the first word I want to talk about is called a lead. So a lead is basically a potential customer or potential client. So oftentimes you'll meet somebody that's interested in your product, and that's considered a lead. We can write them down as a lead. So some examples you might hear with the term lead could be, oh yeah, that company, they're just a lead for now. Another example could be, yeah, I talked to this guy recently. He seemed pretty interested, so I marked him down as a lead. Another example might be your boss might ask you, do you have any new leads this week? So the next word I want to talk about is called trade shows, or sometimes we call it a conference. So these trade shows or conferences are these big events where a bunch of different vendors or a bunch of different companies that sell things all get together and we sell and market our product to potential clients at these trade shows. So at these trade shows, we'll get a lot of different leads from new potential customers that want to buy our products. So some examples where you might hear the word trade show in the workplace would be, do you have your trade shows picked out for this year yet? So another example might be, you have a coworker and you just returned from a trade show. They might ask you, hey, how was the show? And notice I just said show instead of trade show. So usually in the sales environment, that word show means the same thing. We kind of intuitively know, we understand what they mean when they just say show. So how's the show? Oh, it was great, right? Another example where you would hear it would be maybe your boss is asking you, hey, did you talk to our clients in Brazil at the conference? The final word I want to talk about in the sales engineering section would be a proposal. Now this is a very important word. We use this a lot. So the proposal is basically just the document that has a bunch of different documents, including our pricing of our product, a description of our product, who we are as a company, and also other supplemental information that the client can use to decide if they want to buy our product or not. So that's what the proposal is. So some examples you might hear the word proposal used in the workplace could be, I have to send a proposal out later, or I need to get that proposal out pretty quickly here. That one's very common. Getting that proposal out is pretty commonly used. So another example you might hear when you're talking to a client is, yeah, we'll put together a proposal for you, or we'll get started on putting together a proposal. That phrase, putting together a proposal, is very common. So one more example might be from the client themselves asking you about your proposal, and they could be saying something like, I didn't see it included in the proposal. Is shipping included in the pricing? I didn't see it included in your proposal. That's very common as well. You include things in your proposal. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Hope you were able to learn something that you might be able to use in your workplace right now, or in a future job, or in an interview setting. Of course, in the description, I will leave a vocabulary list that has all the vocab words that we talked about today. And if you have any other engineering disciplines or technical fields that you have questions about your job, just leave it in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer it. So that's going to do it for this one. I'll see you in the next one.